On the road to riches speeding, I just hope I'm not lost. Lost some homies, run away for them, I gotta push on. If you ain't here to work, bustin', you can get lost. Thought my heart was freezing, gotta let it defrost. On the road to riches speeding, I just hope I'm not lost. Lost some homies, run away for them, I gotta push on. If you ain't here to work, bustin', you can get lost.
Hello and welcome to the 9th episode of the Minnesota Mikes podcast. I'm your host, Mike Thornton. The music you heard is compliments of my nephew, Bay Bandit. You can follow Bay Bandit on Instagram at BayBandit_. Show him some love on SoundCloud, where his music can be found at Bay Bandit. And honestly, I truly appreciate my nephew there. One tough thing about podcasts is copyright infringement. You can't just play any song you want. And so I'm very fortunate enough to be able to play great music, royalty free. But I show him some love too. I take care of him. I'm proud of him and I love him. Now, for me, please give me a follow. Follow me on TikTok and Twitter at Minnesota Mikes. Follow me on Instagram at Minnesota Mikes Podcast. And the last of the self-promotions, okay? The shameless self-promotions here. Please, if you can, guys, please subscribe to YouTube. Give a 5-star review on Spotify. Give a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I would truly appreciate it. I'm doing everything I can to improve this show, make it better and enjoyable. I know what I want the show to be. I want to be able to tell cool stories about Minnesota sports, and I'd like to do that for as long as I can. And the more love and the more support this show gets, the better. So follow the social media if you can, like, share, stick around. We got some cool gifts I'll be giving out. I'm going to be doing some cool giveaways as I'm a season ticket holder for so many Minnesota sports teams. So we're going to show some love with free tickets and merchandise. And so we'll do some of that in the future here. Now, this intro will be short and sweet. We're going to get into a really cool interview. We've interviewed some excellent, outstanding athletes, so many of which play for the University of Minnesota. I think all of our athletes have so far. So this next guest also plays Division I in the state of Minnesota, but for St. Thomas.
Court, Riley Miller. Tommie's up through the ball. Miller drives all the way in. Right hand scoop shot off the glass. Good.
Riley Miller is awesome, homegrown. You'll hear all about them. You're in for a treat, and I can't think of a better story than a school that was Division III powerhouse that was so good that they got kicked out of their conference, and they leveled up to Division I. That's incredible. And so we're going to hear more about that story, and so let's get into it. Let's get started and enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, my next interview is awesome. I'm really looking forward to talking about Riley Miller. Now, Riley is homegrown. Riley is from Eden Prairie, where he went to Benilde St. Margaret's High School, and he was a standout there. He was an MVP his senior year, all-conference first team as a senior. And I should say, Minnesota is known as the state of hockey. It should be known as the state of hoops. If you guys follow Preps High School basketball, Minnesota high school basketball has some of the best basketball in the country. And Riley was the standout his senior year. He was second in Benilde St. Margaret's history in free throw percentage. He also holds the record there for most consecutive free throws made. He was an honor student. That shouldn't surprise anyone because he goes to St. Thomas. University of St. Thomas has an excellent academic reputation. And by the way, his time at St. Thomas, he's played in 94 games. He's going to be a senior this year. He's averaged over 10 points per game in those 94 games throughout his career. He's a sharpshooter, making over 43% of his three-point shots. He could be a difference maker at the Big Ten level, but we won't talk too much about that. We don't want to make Coach mad, so we don't want to steal him from the Tommies. But regardless, without further ado, I am so excited to introduce my first guest from the University of St. Thomas, Mr. Riley Miller. Riley, thanks so much for joining the show, my man. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I appreciate you. Let's get started. All right. So first question for you. And the last year was the first season that you all were Division I. You obviously went from D3 to D1, which is incredible. On paper, the record, it looks like it was a struggle. But if you actually watch those games, you were really competitive in all of them, which had to be frustrating. So tell me, how do you feel about the upcoming season in the Summit League for you and the Tommie's men's basketball team?
I feel really good. It's definitely a change of pace from last year. We had a lot of guys graduate and move on elsewhere, which we're going to miss those guys and their presence. But then we got new guys coming in that have more size and athleticism and can just do different things. So I think we'll look a little different on the floor, but it'll be fun to put the pieces together.
Yeah, totally. I'm really looking forward to it. And I know we talked a little bit before the interview. I can't even imagine going from D3 to D1. So this year you'll actually have your core group of guys, including yourself, but you also have some of the younger guys that were technically D1 recruits. Now, I will just say this. Many, including myself, fail to appreciate the Herculean effort of going from D3 to D1. We're so used to seeing St. Thomas competitive, it just becomes easy to take your success for granted at the D1 level. So let's hear about your experience from being recruited to be a Division 3 basketball player to being a leader on a Division 1 hoops team.
Yeah, my story is a little different, and I know a lot of the guys on my team are as well. But coming into St. Thomas, I had no guarantee that I was going to play. I was like lightly recruited. They told me to come, and I was just trying to make the varsity team. I was honestly recruited more for their JV program because Division 3 schools have JV programs, and who knows if I would have panned out there. And then worked my butt off, made the team there, and then like years later, no one could have guessed it, but now we're Division 1. So I think it's just been full circle, and this probably will never happen again. Just no team's going to go Division 3 to Division 1 without getting kicked out of the conference. But it's just cool to see it come full circle. And just like the difference between guys coming in now versus my class is just, it's breathtaking, but it's good to see change at St. Thomas.
Man, that is so awesome, boy. That just shows the perseverance and the grit, determination that you have to go from being recruited to be on the JV team to being a star on a Division 1 team. So well done to you, man. I'm really looking forward to seeing y'all play this year. And to the audience that isn't as familiar, you touched on the fact that y'all were kicked out of the MIAC. They were Division 3, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you all were really good, just a powerhouse in the MIAC, and essentially were voted out of the conference. And you leveled up, from D3 to D2, not from D3 to NAIA, but from D3 to D1. So well done to the Tommies. Just an awesome culture you guys have there. And so my next question, we touched on the players, including yourself, that were recruited to play Division 3, but now you're playing Division 1. Now tell us, why should we be excited about the future of St. Thomas basketball? Now you guys have some recruits, some young guys coming in that were Division 1 recruits. Tell us a little bit about the young talent on the Tommie's Hoops team.
Yeah, just like our roster looks a lot different this year, and not against any of the guys we had before, but we're a lot taller. We're a lot more athletic. Like guys like we got Kendall Blue and Andrew Rohde, who are super long wings. And then we got Ajani Lee, who's towering over everyone, and Carter's big as well, but he can step out and shoot it a little bit. And then like even guys like Drake Dobbs has D1 experience. Courtney Brown transfer with us is a freak of an athlete. So it's like cool to see Division 1. I always say like I'm a big advocate for Division 3 hoops. I think Division 3 hoops is underappreciated. It's great basketball. It's really talented basketball. The biggest difference is just size and athleticism. Those D3 guys can still do a lot of the same things skill-wise, but the size is definitely different. And so we've been adding to that now. Just moving forward, we'll get bigger and hopefully grow on that.
I am bullish on the future of St. Thomas basketball, if y'all don't know, audience. As I mentioned, Minnesota is fertile recruiting ground for some really good ballers, and you just named a few there. I think you said Anjay Lee. Who else? Kendall Blue. My nephew plays high school basketball, and he played against him, and Kendall's got some game there. So really looking forward to seeing those young guys.
I think it's like maybe our second recruiting class in the Summit League was the rank the highest in the Summit League that it's ever seen, and it's our second year Division 1. So and who knows what that really means, because you always see the rankings about that recruiting class stuff, and who knows, but it's just cool to see. I think Minnesota's a hotbed, so we got a lot of local guys. I think our 3 freshmen are from locally, and then the 1 is from Brookfield, Wisconsin, which is not too far either. So just the Midwest in general has a lot of hoops high school guys to offer.
Oh, man, totally. Just a really good recruiting class. And you're right, rankings don't always pan out, but I think that bodes well. Now, I know that St. Thomas has achieved very good cultural stability with its coaches, particularly with football and men's basketball. Tell me about your relationship with Coach Tower and how he does connecting with you and the rest of the team for the Tommie's men's basketball team.
Yeah, so he's obviously had a lot of success at the Division 3 level and then continue that Division 1. And he's like doctor of psychology, so he knows what he is doing and from a relationship standpoint. And I just think a big reason for me coming back for 5th year was my relationship with him. I think he's like a player's coach, but he also knows what he's doing, X's and O's. And he's just really good at communicating what he wants out of everyone. It's realistic. He's not unrealistic with expectations for people. So he's just good at just communicating with our team and great motivator. So I think we all want to play hard for him.
Very cool. It takes a lot of leadership to lead a team from that type of transition from D3 to D1. And it looks like he's doing it very well. But kudos to the players, too. You guys have done a good job as well. And so now we've heard about the coach. I'd like to hear more about the team. So tell me more about a team. I've got a few questions, actually. The first question is, it'll be a little lighthearted. Who do you say has the most swag on the team? Who's the best dresser on the St. Thomas men's basketball team?
Oh man, that's tough. I'm gonna go Brooks Allen. And I think he's lengthy, got some long legs. So I think it can be hard for him to find some clothes that fit him all the time. But he does a good job where for the most of the time, he's got some good swagger to him.
Okay, sounds good. So Brooks Allen, best dresser, most swagged out, most drippy on the St. Thomas men's basketball team. Now, the next question I have is, who would you say has the best social media game on the St. Thomas men's basketball team?
This is an easy one. Parker Bjorklund. And this got a little backstory to it. Parker, his first 2 years was at St. Thomas, but not playing basketball because he ran social media accounts. So he ran like parody accounts, all that stuff on Twitter, had hundreds of thousands of followers, and that was his businesses he ran, made a ton of money doing it. And then I think he got bored of it 2 years later. So it's not necessarily good in social media. Like if you look at his own social media, it's just like ours, but he's really good at managing different social media accounts. And he's got TikTok accounts that are just like cut and cake. And it's like, well, why is this popular? And he's just making money off of it. So he's a bit of an entrepreneur.
That is wild. So he actually went to St. Thomas and he wasn't even planning on playing basketball? Is that correct?
Yeah, so he got recruited a little bit, same thing as me, come try out for the team, that type of deal. And he was like, no, because I don't know how much money he was making, but it was definitely a good amount of money for a high school senior at the time. So he didn't really want to commit to a basketball team and want to spend most of his time running his businesses. And then I think 2 years later, he asked if he could try out, and our coaches said absolutely. He came in. It was interesting because he's so athletic and he's just figuring himself out at the beginning. I think his first game, Division III, he played probably 7 minutes and fouled out because he was just so excited to be out there. And then seeing him grow now, he's an outstanding Division I basketball player. So it's cool to see. But he didn't even play basketball or want to play basketball his first 2 years. And then his social media accounts started to slow down a little bit. So he wanted to come over to the basketball side.
That is wild. That's a lot to unpack there. I just know that after the season, I might have to hit him up for his social media consulting services.
Yeah.
Turn around the social media game for the Minnesota Mike's podcast. All right. So, yes, we got Brooks Allen, best dresser. We got Parker Bjorklund, that social media game. Now, lighthearted, it's all fun and games. Who would you say is the worst dresser? It's got the worst swag on the men's basketball team for the St. Thomas Tommies.
Yeah, that's easy. Don Martinelli. I think every single person on our team would say the exact same answer. I'll give him credit because he doesn't really care what he looks like. He doesn't care about the public perception of him, but he'll go around campus and I don't even know what he's wearing half the time. He looks like he hasn't showered. We love Dom and he's a hard worker. So he's always coming from the gym and everything. But man, is that guy never on point with his swag.
That's fair. But luckily, you guys get some pretty cool team issue gear, I'm sure, to help them out a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And again, all fun and games. Social media. Who would you say has the worst social media game on the men's basketball team for St. Thomas?
Yeah, I might have to go with me. I'm just not very active on Instagram and stuff. But other than me, I'm trying to think. This might be, and Brooks does a good job of trying to get content out there, but sometimes it's just like his TikToks are cringe and I don't know. That's not me. So I give him crap for it.
That's fair enough. No, it's very cool. And I don't know if you're the worst, then you guys got some pretty good social media. So that's cool, man. Thanks for those answers. All fun and games.
Yeah.
Now, this is your senior year. It's a big year. It goes quick. And so you got to soak up these moments. Those relationships will last forever. All that being said, though, what are your plans after your time at the University of St. Thomas?
Yeah, so right away, like right after school, I want to go and play overseas and just explore Europe and see what I'm like as a professional basketball player, see where that takes me. And then following that, I have really a big passion for coaching. So I'm not quite sure at what level and where that takes me, but I want to stay involved with the game and to go right back into basketball after my playing career whenever that's done.
Oh, man, that's awesome. And do you think, just to expand on that, you think the future might be here in Minnesota at some point? Or it's tough to say now, but do you think you might move back here to the state of Minnesota when it's all said and done? Or
Yeah, I love Minnesota. I grew up here my whole life. My family's here. I love the city. I think it gets a bad rep. Everyone from the outside just says it's cold. It's cold in a lot of places, but it's a really cool culture here. So I definitely would have no complaints if it ended up back here.
I love it. This is my home too. It's a great place, man. I love it. I love the sports here. Obviously, I started a sports podcast, so yeah. Once you're all said and done, and if you are back here coaching or doing whatever, hopefully we can have you back on the show. That'd be awesome.
For sure.
Next question I have for you. I know just from talking to you, you're a fan of the NBA. And so I'm an NBA fan. I'm repping my Wolves shirt right now. I'm excited for the season. So that being said, you're from Minnesota. Are you a Wolves fan? Do you support another team? Who do you like in the NBA?
Yeah, so I'm a big Wolves fan. Now, granted, they haven't had a lot to cheer for lately, but now it's kind of shifting a little bit, so I'm excited for that. And then also on top of that, I've been not necessarily bullied, but I get a little crap because I'm a Warriors fan. I love Steph Curry. He's my favorite player. And then on top of that, the other team that I cheer for is the Miami Heat. I've gotten connected with Duncan Robinson a little bit, so I just cheer for him through his career and like hope all goes well for him in the Heat.
Okay, very cool. So yeah, that's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that, especially because most of your life and most of my life haven't given us much to cheer for.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It looks like the tides are turning. Yeah, I'm very excited for the season. I love basketball, and yeah, that's very cool. Now, Duncan Robinson, are you connected with him? Expand on that a little bit. How you guys know each other, or mutual friends, or?
Yeah, so Duncan Robinson, I'm sure the whole story of him is he was Division III basketball player. Then he transferred to Michigan, and then ended up on the Miami Heat as an undrafted rookie. His head coach at Williams was the Division III school he went to, is Mike Maker. And Mike Maker is now our associate head coach and assistant coach here at St. Thomas. So just, I think earlier this summer, he connected with me and we were able to talk on the phone a little bit here and there and then exchange texts for a while. And then I went out for a week with me and Brooks Allen, my teammate, went out there to Miami and worked out with him. And he's a great guy. And like you always see NBA players, they make all this money and you think it might change them and stuff, but he signed a big contract. He's humble. Was more than willing to take time out of his day and his workout to allow us to shadow him and see what his life is like. And it was just a really cool experience.
I bet that'd have to be awesome, and couldn't have been a better person to connect with. Going from D3 to D1 sounds very familiar, like the St. Thomas Tommy. So, okay, thanks so much for that answer. Now I'm going to my first. I'm ashamed to say I know a lot of St. Thomas fans are probably watching because their fans are family or friends of Riley Miller here. But I'm going to my first St. Thomas sporting event this weekend as the Tommie football team takes on Davidson. That's going to be a big game. But yeah, all I know about St. Thomas campus is plums. I know I've driven past there and it always looks just really packed and full and looks like a fun time. But that being said, though, what should I eat before the game? What do I do to have a good time on campus there at St. Thomas?
Yeah. Before the game, I would recommend, if you want just great breakfast food, Highland Grill down the road a little bit. That's a great little breakfast spot. Or you can go to Tiff's too. That's similar to Plums. That's just a good spot to go there. And then once you're, I would say show up early. I think the interesting thing about St. Thomas football and just all St. Thomas sports is we don't have these giant football facilities or basketball arenas and stuff like that. So you can come and sit really close to the field. It's almost like you're on the field. So you get a different experience. It's still Division I football, basketball, whatever, but you're like almost on the court, on the field. So you can listen to what the coaches are saying and just get a different experience than you would at a professional game or a Big Ten game.
That is very cool. I know I'm looking forward to it. St. Thomas football team made some noise last year. They did pretty well, better than a lot of people expected. And so hopefully they could pull an upset this weekend. Be a tough matchup against Davidson. I'm looking forward to it. Now, last question. I usually touch on food. I said before, I'm a chunky boy. I like to eat. I don't burn as many calories as you, but I probably eat more. But yeah, let's get into that later. Now, I do have one question that I didn't go over with the pre-interview call that we had here. So it's lighthearted, though. Music. We did talk a little. I know you like country music, so that's a genre that you like. Who are some artists that you like? Maybe even going a bit further. Concerts. Have you been to any cool concerts? And if so, what was the coolest one that you've been to?
Yeah, I've definitely become a country guy in college, and that's a lot of my teammates were that, and they forced me to it. And if my dad's listening, I apologize. My dad does not like country music. Anytime he goes into my car and the country radio station's on, he gets mad. So I apologize for that. But yeah, I'm in the like Zach Brown band, Morgan Wallen, Zach Bryan's a new one I'm into, just like your basic country artist I'm into. I haven't gone to any concerts recently, so I can't answer that one. I was trying to get to the Zach Bryan concert this past weekend, but wasn't able to. But yeah, I'm looking forward to some more as they come. Minnesota's usually got some good country festivals.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm not a huge country fan, but I'm familiar. I've got a lot of good friends that like it. I know this summer I went to the Twins game, and afterwards they had the concert. Cole Swindell, are you familiar with him?
Yep.
He did pretty good. And shows what I know about country. This guy, he was pretty
Yeah.
well known though. There's a lot of people who were there that weren't even Twins fans. Just wanted to see him. So it's a good show. All right. Now I touched on the last question. I was going to be about is food, man. I like food. I love to eat it. I'm from Minnesota. Expand on food even more. What are some of your favorite spots to eat in Minnesota? It could be your hometown of Eden Prairie. It could be near campus. It could be outstate. If you guys like to vacation up north or wherever. Let's hear it.
So back home, a restaurant that's pretty close to where I live is called Tavern 4 and 5. It's just a spot that we started going to when it opened. It was so close. We're like, oh, let's grab a quick meal. And now it's our go-to. It's a great spot. It's got some really good food. I like their walleye there. And then around St. Thomas, I think the slept on one is Kim's Chow Mein. And it's Chinese food. It's $8, $9 and you get a combo and you get too much food to eat. So it's just, as a college kid, sometimes it's late night. You want something cheap that'll fill you up. It's the go-to. So that's my main one. And then other than that, I'm just like, give me some Chick-fil-A and I'm content, something like that. I'm not too picky.
Sometimes simple is good. Now I got to dive a little deeper. I know you said the walleye at Tavern 45. I'm taking notes over here, man. I'm asking for me.
Walleye taco, good.
Okay. Walleye taco, you said? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Kim's Chow Mein, I imagine, is probably chow mein. Or what? Is there a specific dish you like there?
Yeah, I go with the number 8 or the number 10 combo plate. You get fried rice. You get the number 8 or 10. I forget which one's which, but one of them sweet and sour and one of them sesame chicken. And then they give you an egg roll on the side, but I always swap the egg roll out for cream cheese wontons. And then they give you some sauce to dip it in.
My man. I suppose we do have a few minutes left. Now, take this a little deeper. Any cooks on your team? Any guys that like to cook? Or how about yourself? Are you a cook? Or any of you guys like to throw down in the kitchen?
Yeah, I like to attempt to cook. I'm not necessarily the best at it. I got a couple things in the bag that I can whip up every once in a while. A lot of it I steal. My younger sisters are really big into cooking, so I steal some recipes from her. But as far as the team goes, I know Will Engels on our team. He's a senior. He's always whipping up the grill, inviting guys over on a Saturday football game before the game. He's got brats on the grill, burgers, hot dogs, all that. So he's the dad of the team in that aspect. But other than that, I don't know. Don Martinelli, we always say he's the health freak of the team. He won't put anything bad in his body, and he's very adamant about all the health and everything that goes in his body. So I think he's eating some interesting stuff, which forces his hand when it comes to cooking, but I wouldn't necessarily call him a great cook.
That's fair. He's health conscious, right? He wants to put good things in his body, but he's not a big dresser, though. Not a lot of swag there.
No. Yeah, I've seen him eat some interesting things that I don't like. He'll eat salad, won't put any dressing on it. And I'm just like, how do you? He's like, I don't like dressing. I'm like, okay, whatever floats your boat.
Man, good for him. I wish I could say the same for me. And then I'm sure your family's going to watch this. Any dishes that you enjoyed growing up that your mom or dad likes to make, anything that you like to eat when you go back home for family get-togethers, anything like that?
Yeah, I got a couple things. I'm trying to think. So my mom makes enchiladas that are really good, and my friends all like them too. So whenever my mom makes enchiladas, I tell my friends we're going home for those. My sister makes this French toast. She puts protein powder in the mix, so it's like healthier for an athlete, I'd say. And then she puts Nutella in the middle, and then strawberries on top. It's really good. And then my dad actually cooks the most out of our family. I think over COVID, he started trying new things on the grill and all that stuff. So he makes some good chicken.
That's awesome, man. And you guys, a lot of siblings too. It wasn't just a couple.
Yeah, I got 3. So older brother. I'm actually roommates with my older brother right now. So he graduated from Creighton, 2 years older than me. And then younger sister is playing varsity soccer for Benilde St. Margaret's right now. She always gets on me because she was playing varsity basketball as an 8th grader and I wasn't. So it's something to pick my bone about. And then my other younger brother, Bennett, is a freshman, just a regular student at Madison.
Okay, the Badgers, Wisconsin?
Yep. So this is his first semester there. My dad's a Gopher grad, so that was a tough decision for the family.
Well, It's a good school, and that's awesome, man. Your parents got to be so proud, not just of all those kids, but of you as well, man. You was cool researching you, getting to know you, even offline as we've talked and messaged each other. You turned me into a Tommie fan, so I'll be there. I'll be repping. Now, you guys will see, I'll actually be repping your merchandise. So I ordered a Riley Miller shirt. And if you guys, if you're not already following Riley Miller, follow him on social media. Don't listen to him. He doesn't have a bad social media game. It's good. He's got a link to his merchandise. So he's got the cool mustache there. He's got the cool goatee right now, and it's showing off on the shirt. So I'm excited to rock that, to watch the Tommie's Man's basketball team make some noise this year. Good luck. Give them heck, man. I'm looking forward to checking you out, and I truly appreciate you for giving me and this podcast a chance.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me and appreciate you giving some attention to the Tommies.
Hey, Tommie's is a gold mine, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'll support you guys. But I'll let you go, man. You take care. Have a great night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Folks, I am so happy to have had the opportunity to have interviewed Riley Miller of St. Thomas. Start over. Folks, I am so happy to have had the opportunity to interview Riley Miller of St. Thomas. Man, that is so cool. I love the underdog stories. And this guy, here he was recruited to possibly be on the JV team of a Division III team, and now he is just an elite three-point shooter in Division I basketball. So just that, if that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what will. And I'm honored to have been able to tell that story. St. Thomas certainly doesn't need my help, but anything I can do to help, I certainly will. So I support him. I'm not a Tommie. I didn't go there, so I got no affiliation. And if you watch the show before today's episode, you probably don't have much affiliation with St. Thomas either. But I'm also not a hater, and I love Minnesota sports. And I do appreciate your greatness. And St. Thomas, as far as I've known, has always been just an outstanding program for basically every sport. So I hope to see them succeed. I hope to one day see them make some noise in the college basketball tournament, and women's. Hopefully see them one day knock off North Dakota State to represent Minnesota well. Yeah, the more the merrier. I know it's a crowded sports market, but it might be too much for some people, but it ain't too much for me. I love sports, and I love this state. And so, yeah, I'm very proud of Riley and the rest of the guys at St. Thomas. And it was cool getting to know the team there, too. So big shout out to those boys. Big shout out to Coach Tower and everything they're doing. Now, I mentioned that I'll be going to St. Thomas football game this weekend.
Everybody out from the huddle and snap it quick. Sexauer bootlegging on play action. Dumps it down to his tight end, and that's a touchdown. It's Matthew.
It'll be Battle of the Titans, as undefeated in the conference. St. Thomas, 1-0 in the Pioneer League, 3-1 overall. We'll take on Davidson as they go to O'Shaughnessy Stadium to take on the Tommies. Davidson's 2-0 in the conference, 4-1 overall. Davidson was predicted to win the Pioneer League this year before the season started. So this will be a tough matchup. I don't know if they do spreads for FCS football, if they're not actually playing a Power 5 team, but I would imagine that Davidson's expected to win this game. So I hope to be there and bring some good luck and hopefully see St. Thomas upset Davidson and take over the Pioneer League here. But win, lose, or draw, I'll be supporting them and show them some love. If you're a college football fan, our Gopher football team is off this week. Not a bad opportunity to buy yourself some tickets. I got some very affordable tickets to go and watch St. Thomas play, and I'm so looking forward to it. It's a lot of sports going on now. It's a lot. I've never been this excited for Timberwolves basketball as I am right now. I have never paid attention ever to preseason NBA basketball, and I am super excited. Even for tonight's game, as we take on the Lakers. We're in LA, and they'll play the Lakers at 9 o'clock Central Standard Time. So I'm looking forward to that game. They looked really good in their first preseason game at Miami without Cat, without Rudy Gobert, without D'Angelo Russell. Anthony Edwards looked out of this world. Man, they look really good. McLaughlin had a good game. Brent Forbes played well. That team's going to be special. I really do. I'm all on the bandwagon. But as I say to all the people, win, lose, or draw, I'm still going to support that squad. I'm just proud that you could tell there's effort there. They want to win. They're trying to change the narrative, and that's all I care for. That's all I care about, man. If you're going to represent us, man, make us proud. The state deserves it. They're going to represent us well. I'll support them, and so I'll be there. And as I mentioned, we've got some free ticket giveaways that we're going to have coming up here. So if you're looking forward to possibly going to a Timberwolves game in the lower levels, I got you. Follow the social media. Yeah, sooner than later. We're going to be giving away some tickets there. Eventually, I'll give away some Gopher football tickets. I'm going to try to give away tickets to a really good game coming up here. Towards the end of the year, there's going to be some good ones. So stay tuned for that. And right now, the Minnesota Wild are playing a preseason game against the Chicago Blackhawks, and they're winning 2-0. So that's very nice. Very much looking forward to the Wild season as well. As far as upcoming this weekend, as mentioned, the Golden Gopher football team is off. They could use the rest.
Morgan, end zone, intercepted off the hands.
Look, it was disappointing. We all thought that Purdue was bad. I don't think they're that bad. We all thought that we could be undefeated. We're not going to go undefeated anymore. You got to sometimes put your oars in the water and keep rowing, man. Hopefully that doesn't lose my St. Thomas listeners. I hope to be new listeners there, but I support all Minnesota sports teams, and those Golden Gophers, they represent our state, and I'm proud of them. So, yeah, it was a tough game. It was tough. The offense couldn't get anything going. The defense overall played well. There were a few mental errors in unopportune times, but they just weren't getting much help from the offense. So just a lot of mental errors. And, hey, you win some, you lose some. And when you play the game, you never know what you're going to get. So, but they get the week off. They'll come back. They'll go to Illinois. I believe I'll be at that game. That's in Champaign, Illinois. That'll be a tough matchup. Illinois looks pretty good this year. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And the week after that, I will be at that game in State College as they take on Penn State. So 2 tough games in a row. And I've said it before, you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. Hopefully we could beat 2 of the better teams in our conference this year, at least what appears to be, as the season is still young. The Vikings will take on the Bears this weekend, and so that'll be cool. I think that one, it looks as if we should win that game, but you just never know.
1st and 10, Saints brought 5, airing it deep for Jefferson. He's got it! The home run ball! Hit from Cousins to Jefferson.
The Bears have a mobile quarterback that could be a little scary. So we can see what happens. We'll see what happens there. Our defense just has left a little to be desired this year. There's been a few games that they've outplayed the offense, but for the most part, it's been the offense that's carried us through. And even there's been some inconsistencies. It's early in the season. All that matters is that we do have a good record. Right? We've won all but one game, which is against Philadelphia, and what looks to be a very good Philadelphia Eagles team. We'll keep cheering on the team. We'll do our skull chant. We'll see what happens, but hopefully we get another division win this weekend versus the Bears. Then we would have beaten every team in the division. Right now, it's Thursday. I'm watching the Thursday night football game as the Denver Broncos are beating the Colts 3-0 near the end of the first quarter. Boy, it's back. It looks like it's the old thing where the Thursday night football games were just bad football games. Looks like one here. I obviously haven't been watching, so I don't know, but it doesn't look too compelling. So luckily, in about an hour, my Timberwolves will be playing, and I never thought I'd say this, but I will turn off the NFL game, regular season game, and turn on the NBA preseason game. But I'm very much looking forward to that. Yeah, support the merchandise for Riley. Go ahead and support Riley. You can find him on his social media. And I know he's on Instagram. He's on Twitter. So that's Riley Miller. I'll try to get his handle here. But I ordered this shirt. It looks pretty cool. And so that's R_Miller30. R_Miller30. You see his social media there. You'll see his link to his merchandise. Support him. I support NIL. I think you all should too. These kids deserve to get paid for their efforts. And yeah, hopefully he makes all the money. But I'm sure he's a smart young man going to St. Thomas. And he was an honor student in high school and probably has honor accolades at college as well. So I'm sure he'll do just fine. And with that being said, again, just another call for action here. Please support this show if you can. Please. If I could sing, I would. Give it a 5-star review. Subscribe, leave a review, show some love there. Do what you can. Follow the social media. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I just do my personal Facebook, which is Michael Thornton, but I do post the reels, and I try to be creative with the content, and it's only going to get better. Anything you can do to support this show would be greatly appreciated. We'll have cool things in store. We're going to back off of the athlete interviews here, and next week it's going to be a bit of a change up. I've got some cool plans for the future of this show. I think you all know by now I like food. I'm a food guy. And let's just say we got some cool things in store for the Minnesota Mikes podcast. Next week, we'll have another podcaster on here as we'll talk more just general Minnesota sports. And it'll be real juicy next week because there's a lot of cool sports. And so the Timberwolves get ready for their regular season. The Wild get ready for theirs. The Vikings and the Gophers are in the thick of theirs. We'll probably break down the game of St. Thomas and Davidson. Hopefully I get some good content and footage there as well. Show some love. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Hey, episode 9. We're rolling. We're rocking. We're going to keep this thing going. So you all know the tagline, and you may not know the tagline, especially if you're a St. Thomas fan. You probably haven't watch the show or listen too much. But here at the Minnesota Mike's podcast, doesn't matter who you are, no matter who you cheer for, none of that matters. We're all on the same team here at the Minnesota Mike's podcast. Thanks, folks. Have a great day, great night.
Steady heading and steady heading. Don't nobody see the vision till after you made it. On the road and riches speeding, I just hope I'm not lost. Lost some homies run away, for them I gotta push on. If you ain't here to work, busky, you can get lost. Thought my heart was freezing, gotta let it defrost. On the road and riches speeding, I just hope I'm not lost. Lost some homies run away, for them I gotta push on. If you ain't here to work, busky, you can get lost. Thought my heart was freezing, gotta let it defrost. Young, black, and wild, and I know they hate it. Since I was a youngin', I've been counting payments. Open up the land.